Hey guys, today we're going to be doing an unboxing and install of the ECS Tuning Oil Pan Replacement Kit. As you can see, starting off, you get the Euro Tuning Oil Pan, 5 quarts of fully synthetic oil, the oil pan gasket compound, the oil filter, and of course, all of the hardware. Trust me, it's a lot of parts. I have also linked this exact kit if you're looking to purchase it from ECS Tuning. A few tools that you'll need are 3 variations of the T30 Torx, including a screwdriver, a socket, and a low-profile wrench, a 10mm socket with extension, a chisel, and a hammer. Start off by using your floor jacks to get your car up on jack stands. It will need to be at least 14 inches off the ground. Now, get under your vehicle and take off the engine splash guard, a total of 11 screws. Locate the drain plug. Perform a normal oil change as usual. Of course, this also includes taking out the oil filter as well. I noticed that a lot of bolts in my high mileage A4 were very rusted at the bottom, so I recommend spraying some sort of catalyst on them, such as PB Blaster. Next, locate and remove the oil pan level sensor clip. In here, I am removing the 3 10mm nuts holding up the oil level sensor. Again, all 3 bolts were very rusted, so be careful. Next, take out the oil level sensor and note that there is an O-ring attached to the base. This kit does include a replacement O-ring. Now you can start unscrewing all of the T30 Torx bolts that are holding up the oil pan. If I remember correctly, there are a total of 21 bolts that need to be taken out, so note this will take some time. Once the bolts are somewhat loose, a screwdriver is a great way to zip them out. To get to a few of the back bolts on this oil pan, you will need the low-profile T30 Torx tool that I touched on earlier in this video. To get the oil pan off, I used a small chisel and a hammer. In this case, it's okay to put a medium amount of pressure on the oil pan because you are replacing it. If you look closely, there's a significant amount of oil residue on the top left corner of this pan. This was the primary place that my oil pan was leaking. Alright guys, so quick pro tip. You're going to want to let the engine sit like this overnight and let it drip dry. I highly recommend you also set down either a drip tray or at least some cardboard. Trust me, a lot of oil is still in the engine and it will keep dripping down all throughout the night. The next day, spray over the remaining gasket material left on the oil pan. This will make scraping it much easier. Get a gasket scraper and start scraping away the old gasket. Do not use a razor blade like I did. I misplaced my plastic scraper and had to use this as a backup. It never hurts to give the surface you're working on a second coat of brake cleaner just to see the spots you potentially could have missed. I also recommend getting a flashlight and thoroughly looking at the back side of the oil pan by the sway bar. It's a very easy spot to overlook. Apply a bead of gasket compound around the oil pan. This is by far the trickiest part of the job. Getting the new oil pan back in without bumping and ruining the silicone gasket that you just applied. If the silicone gets smudged, you'll need to take it back out and reapply a layer all over again. If you're doing this job by yourself, I recommend getting a floor jack to hold the oil pan in place while you zip in the 21 T30 screws. This is just a temporary fix to hold it in place. Obviously you don't want to apply a lot of extra pressure with the floor jack. Make sure to screw back in the T30 bolts in a star pattern to 8 Newton meters. Reinstall the oil level sensor and make sure the gasket we touched on before is sitting flush. Torque the 3 10mm bolts to 9 Newton meters. Reinstall the oil level sensor clip that you unplugged before. Torque the drain plug to 22 foot-pounds. ECS Tuning recommends at least 1 hour for the oil pan gasket compound to dry. reinstall the new oil filter, and do not forget to lubricate the oil filter seal with a dab of oil. For the love of God, make sure you have a funnel ready for pouring the oil. I can pretty much guarantee that this makeshift one will have Audi Zine in uproar.
And that's all there is to it. I hope that this project is a success for you guys. And I also just want to quickly reiterate a few tips that I shared earlier in this video. For this job in particular, having the right tools is essential, most notably being the low-profile T30 Torx wrench that I highlighted on previously. I also just want to remind everyone again that once you take off the original oil pan, it's a really good idea to let the engine sit and drip dry overnight. It would have been really nice to have a second set of hands holding up that oil pan as I was zipping in those Torx screws. It would have made it a lot easier. But at the end of the day, I was able to make do with the floor jack method. Alright guys, so in conclusion, I hope that this video helps other B8 owners complete this project. Thanks again for watching, and hope to make some more content for you guys very soon.